Late night store clerks. What is the strangest things that's happened on the job? I work nights at a gas station in a pretty good neighborhood in New Hampshire, so usually it's pretty boring. One night I did have a customer really creep me out. I was just getting ready to close down the store when a little old man came in. He was small and dressed in khakis and a button-down shirt. I made the usual small talk of asking him how his day was going. Then as I was handing him his change, he firmly grabbed my wrist, made direct eye contact with me and said, "Heck is a real place and the devil has already got his hand on you, girl. Be careful." At that point you should have grabbed his wrist and said, "He's got his hand on you too." I worked third shift at a Sheetz. For those of you who don't know, it's a gas station convenience store fast food place. On multiple occasions I have been cussed out because we discontinued pickle chips. I've had people tell me to frick off, break things, demand to call corporate, etc. Drunk people love pickle chips. I've never been a store clerk, but I was lucky enough to witness the following story. 7-Eleven, circa 1996. A guy walks up to the surly clerk, who seemed to work 25 hours a day, and asks, "Do you sell eggs by the 1/2 dozen?" Clerk: "No, you have to buy a dozen." Guy: "I only need 6. Clerk: "I don't care. You get 12 or you get 0. Without saying another word, the guy walks back to get his dozen eggs, pays, and walks out. Then he throws his 6 unwanted eggs at the store window before driving off. Would be funny if he got home and realized he needed 8 eggs. I work at a deli and about a half hour from close a woman comes to the counter and just says lamb bone. We had it, so I go to the back freezer, come back to the counter and her daughter is there. She tells me to cancel the order. Meanwhile her mom is right beside her repeating lamb bone over and over again. She had dementia and I didn't even notice. In your defense, this is how many people ask where things are. Cheese whiz. 11:30 PM in Orsay and on break working till 4 AM in a sort of restaurant fast food store. Last week I saw a woman order 4 burgers but wanted no ingredients other than lettuce, not even any bread. I offered if she would like to just buy the lettuce as a topping and just pay $1.25 for it, but she insisted on ordering 4 servings of burger lettuce at full burger price. I worked 11 PM 7 AM shift in an all-night garage for a few months when I was 18. There was this weird Vietnamese dude who drove a white Honda Prelude and always filled up with £6 and 66 pence of petrol. He wore the same pair of cut-offs every time, with blotches and bruises all over his legs, and used to literally wander in, leaning against the displays, pick up as many yogurts as he could carry, pay with a £50 note and stagger out. One time he came in with these 2, obviously prostitute, women who were draped all over him with the biggest pupils I have ever seen. They stood at the counter while I scanned all their yogurts, and he spoke for the first and only time. Staring at me, said to the women she can join us. Can't she? One of the women looked at me and said, "You'll make a lot more money if you come with us, darling." I nervously laughed, took their cash and they left, grinning, in silence. Dang, the Honda Prelude was a sick car though. Even amongst the mad story of a Vietnamese dude and his H trying to solicit you, the Prelude gets a mention. The place I worked had a monitor camera that showed you on it as you walked it. It was like 10 minutes before closing and a guy walks in and just starts rapping into the camera and acting like he's shooting a music video. He went through an entire song. Martin had a dream. A man came in 10 times within a single hour. He kept leaving and coming back without buying a single thing. Finally, on the 10th time he comes up to the counter with a box of tampons. I proceeded to ask him, "Rough night?" To which he responded, "I really don't want to talk about it." I never understood this mentality. It's not like the cashier expects a man to go home and shove them in his butt or something. They probably realize he is just being a good husband, boyfriend, father. Maybe if the wife asks to pick up some lube or pee or something, I could see the hesitation there. Had a guy pull up to the pump, unhooked it wanting post-pay. Our policy said not to authorize it between midnight and 5 AM. Prepay only. I announced this to the dude over the loudspeaker. I'm pretty sure he was wasted. He continued to get more and more belligerent. When he started beating the pumps with the nozzle hose, I called the cops. Dude starts banging on the door. Locked. No way he would get in. Can't. Gets frustrated, and finally just whips his deal out and starts swagging it in the general direction of the store. The CCTV is getting all this, so I just start laughing my ass off. Then the cops pull up, and 2 deputies put this poor, drunk, deal-wagging man away in the back of a police car. I quit a few months after that. Freaking FDR can't stop waving his new deal in people's faces. Aside from the crap-covered walls and vomit that you'd expect from a typical gas station, I could say this was the most peculiar. I had a man come in and buy a novelty lighter and some lighter fluid. No biggie. Sometime the next week, police came in and asked for our camera footage the night I sold the lighter and stuff. The guy apparently used that lighter and fluid to kill his 3-month-old baby. Frick people, man. That took an unexpectedly dark turn. I watched a truck pull up to one of our pumps. Guy gets out to pump gas. A Durango comes hauling ass from the back of the building. Another guy gets out with a gun aimed at the first guy. I was on the phone with a friend of mine and said, "Someone just pulled a gun at the pump. I'm going to have to let you go." I called the cops. Turned out the guy pumping gas had robbed a store 3 towns over and the Durango was an undercover cop who had been in pursuit. Another time, a guy came in, walked to the back cooler, got a can of Sprite and came to the register to check out. As I'm ringing him up, one of our local cops walks in, gun drawn, says, "Put your hands on the counter. Put your hands on the counter." Now well, I put my hands on the counter along with the customer because all I'm thinking is, I have no idea what I've done, but I'm very sorry for it. Turned out that guy had been involved with a robbery of a convenience store in the next town, 5 minutes away, had fled in a Mustang with 2 other individuals. They wrecked the car trying to evade the cops. All 3 dispersed. 2 were apprehended pretty quickly, but the 3rd came into the store to either blend in or rob me. I honestly don't know which. After the festivities and them hauling the guy away, the cop told me he had almost lost it when I put my hands on the counter too, and that I should really rethink working closing shifts at my age. I was 19 at the time and I am female. I laughed and was like, and give up free entertainment. I used to work at a gas station in a really small town. There was this old homeless guy with a weird glass eye that would walk around with an uncovered 5-gallon bucket of pickled pig's feet. The pig's feet were submerged in this pink pickling juice that would splash all over the dang place when he walked around. Not to mention that during the summer, this bucket would fricking reek. So one of my first days on the job, he came into the gas station to buy a tall boy Bud Ice. I rang him up and he plunged his hand down in the bucket and pulled out a pig's foot in which he slammed on the counter. After a bit of back and forth explaining that pig's feet were not a form of currency, I just gave in and let him have the $2 beer. I paid for it myself. So about once a week, he would walk in, and we would have this pickled pig foot Bud Ice understanding. Other customers in line would lose their freaking minds after seeing this deal go down. I'd throw the pig's feet in the woods out back where the stray cats would eat them. It was a whole ecosystem of freaking weirdness. This went on for about 6 months before I eventually found another job. The guy was insane, but nice as could be. I called him Pigfoot Larry. Regular male customer living across the street came over with flip-flops and a towel around his waist, dripping wet, grabbed a bar of soap, tossed $5 on the counter, and walked back out. Had 3 girls walk in at about 3 in the morning. I would swear they were 13-15 years old. Black mini skirts, see-through black tops, red bras, red thongs showing. Bought some candy and left. Brother worked at a servo gas station at night. Guy tried to rob the place with a brick. Nobody move. This is a brick up. I used to work the graveyard at a gas station near my place. Pretty normal night. Clean. Stock smokes. Clean again. Sit behind the counter. A woman came in about mid-30s with a little boy with her. She was in tears and her clothes were torn a bit. She came up and asked to use the phone. When she got off without getting an answer, she asked to stay here for a bit. I told her it would be no problem. About 20 minutes goes by and I wound up giving her and her kid free drinks and one of the sandwiches we have on the hot rack. She was in the store for about 30 minutes until her boyfriend came in and found her and her kid. He was pretty calm at first but then started screaming at her and telling her she needs to come with him. Luckily before anything crazy happened, a cruiser pulls up to the front and 2 cops come in and intervened. He was arrested right there. I guess he had been beating her in front of her kid and she was trying to run away. I'm glad I got to keep her away from harm for at least a little bit. Was a scary night. Beat up kid comes to us at 3 a.m. Blood everywhere. Doesn't want us to call an ambulance. Our policy says if they don't want us to, we can't. So he was just chilling there, bleeding. When we said we were going to call the cops to help, he bolted. My bet was he had a warrant out for his arrest, so that's why he didn't want any medical police attention. I worked at a small convenience store in the early 1990s. They had one of those fry delis that had chicken, jodgers, corn dogs, burritos, etc. This particular night I had run out of burritos and chicken. I also shut the thing down and cleaned it all out about an hour before closing. About 5 minutes before I was closing up, a guy walked in and asked for some burritos. I told him I was out of them and that I was just about to close and the fryer was shut down. He walked around the store for a minute. I assumed he was looking for something else to buy, and then he came up to the counter, pulled out a knife and told me if I didn't cook him some burritos he was going to stab me. I freaked out, but told him I had none to cook. I showed him the freezer and told him I would happily cook anything he wanted from it, but he will see I was out of burritos. He looked in it for a minute, turned to me and said, "You really are out?" I replied, "Yeah." He then put the knife away and left the store. The man didn't love burritos as much as he hates people who lie about burritos. I worked at a 24/7 convenience store. One night I had a customer come in, clearly drunk, and ask where the bathrooms were. I directed him to the bathrooms, which were in the store, but he kept saying, "Oh okay, they're around the back." "No, they're right there." "Okay, I'll go around back." He left through the front door. I imagined he would just go on the side of the building, so not my problem anymore. Then I look up and he's behind the cash register looking for a toilet. I assume my co-worker left the back door unlocked. I was across the store stocking, so I yelled to my co-worker to get him out. The drunk dude was nice enough about the mix-up and pretended it was just a joke, I guess. Then my co-worker guided him to the actual restrooms. I started stocking near the restrooms to kind of keep an ear on him, and from inside the restroom, I hear, "Ah frick, I'm peeing everywhere. I'm gonna pee on the sink, the toilet. Frick this hand dryer. I'm just kidding, Clark guy. I'm only peeing in the toilet." The guy came out and laughing so hard he was crying, then left after buying some Funyuns. He was laughing at himself the whole time on his way out, like he'd just pulled the funniest prank of his life. Back from my days working graveyard shift at a grocery store, let's see what I can remember. Had a former employee come in drunk one night and call the cops on himself for shoplifting because he wanted somewhere to sleep that night. Had an employee come in on a night off, all pee off. Proceeds to walk straight to the back room without a word. About 10 minutes later there was a successive loud pop 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 pop. Turns out he climbed up to the roof to fire off his gun. A customer came up and told me he heard something fall down in the back room. Tons of stoners buying ice cream at 2 a.m. Saw a drunk guy fall asleep while his car idled along in the parking lot. Luckily he hit a curb and no damage was done, but the cops got a good laugh out of that one. A tall drunk Russian guy tries to buy beer after the 2 a.m. legal cutoff time, then proceed to pick on a sober customer half his size. The little guy took one swing and broke the Russian dude's nose. Had a guy come in when another employee was taking a dump. Guy really had to take a crap, so he turned around and took a dump in the urinal, asking the employee on the toilet for toilet paper. I worked at a 24/7 gas station in a small college town. One night, the club across the street had a fight break out and about 50 people were pepper sprayed by the police when they responded at about 1:30 a.m. 5 minutes later, 50 angry club goers busting into the store, running to the dairy cooler, dousing themselves in milk and then running back out. I just stood there in utter confusion and then told my boss I didn't want the late shift anymore. Haha, I can totally picture this. Not the same scenario at all, but on the subject of peppers. I sold some guy scorpion peppers the other day at work. As soon as he left, he decides to eat one, then ran over to Subway where they already had a milk waiting for him. Haha. I had a regular customer come in and buy the same exact beer and cigarettes every day. He was always muttering something, but I could never make out what he was saying. I really paid close attention one day and he was rambling on about horse racing and the different odds for the horses. He was an interesting character. Also had a guy come in high as frick with his mom and he bought $60 worth of greeting cards. That guy was pretty cool. This is a big ol' floofer. Like this video to pet the floofer. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.